Oh, look who's back.
God, I am back.
Yeah, this is, I think, the first time I've ever had technical difficulties getting somebody on and then been able to just text the guy and say, "Hey,
Yes.
man, I lost
Are
you."
we are we good? We've
Yeah,
only known each other
yeah,
for several decades, so yeah, it should be easy.
right? It's wild, man. First of all, I appreciate you jumping on here. I know that you've had an unfortunate circumstance there in the family. So taking the time to
Thanks,
jump
man.
on and do this, it
No,
means
it,
a
it
lot to
means
me. I
so
know you're
it
going through it.
means so much. It really does. Thank you so much for taking the time with me. I was
Hey,
like when I heard we may be catching up, I was really
yeah.
excited.
One of the common things you hear in this business is don't meet your heroes. But this guy across from me is absolutely an exception to that statement, partially because we've known each other for quite a while. We've met a few times over the years, and every time, man, you are one of the most kind and personable people in this business to ever be around. I've been listening to this guy for over 25 years, from Stuck Mojo to Fozzy to your solo albums. And now you're out on the road with a new project, a couple years old at this point, Guardians of the Jukebox. Rich, the Duke of Metal Ward, joins me on the show. I appreciate that, man. So it was funny is
It is
I
an
tell this
absolute.
story
We're
all
old
the time.
friends. Yeah.
Yeah, I tell this story all the time, that I met you in the crowd at Mayhem Festival one year. We were in Atlanta, and you're just there watching the show. And I looked down a couple of rows. I'm like, oh my God, that's Rich Ward from Stuck Mojo and Fozzy. And I went down there and I asked you, I was like, hey man, could I get you up to Greenville to co-host an hour of metal in the studio? And you're like, yeah, man, I fucking love the planet. Let's go. And like, we never were able to make that happen, but it meant an awful lot to me. You get glad handed in this business a lot. It's like, yeah, let's do it. But you intended to do it. Unfortunately, the evil suits killed off the metal show, and we never had a chance to make that happen. But I appreciate that still to this day.
Well, one day we'll just do it on YouTube. We'll just play our
Yeah.
favorite songs and talk about them.
So, Rich, after 30 plus years in this business, playing and touring in bands, what is it that still gives you joy about being in this business?
Pure motives. I mean, I've always been a fan of music. My earliest memories were attached to going to concerts, listening to albums. Music has been the pillar, the cornerstone of everything that has meant something to me in my life. I went last night to see Culture Club, Howard Jones in Berlin, and then last week I went to see Foreigner Loverboy. I just happened to learn how to play guitar in the process, and was lucky enough to get my foot in the door of the career or the business that I love the most. And I don't take it for granted. I work hard at it. I play guitar every day. It's a dream come true. It really is. Some kids want to be astronauts when they grow up. Some want to be firemen. I stood in front of my mirror room listening to Judas Priest records, dreaming of being in a band. Not being in a famous band, just being in a band. You know, I, Striving for success happened kind of as incrementally the door started to open for me. You started to see, wow, I could make a living at this. This is wow. And of course, people don't realize this is a game of attrition. It's like anything else in life. If you open an ice cream shop, you're not going to make any money for 5 years. But if you love ice cream and you love making ice cream and serving ice cream, then it's you're living your dream. And it really, for all of us that have done this, and I speak for all of the kind of decade long that have stuck with this. These are people who love it. It's in their blood. I don't have a backup plan. I never have. I don't know what I would do if I couldn't do this. And if I stopped making money, if the Lord said this job is over, I'd still play every weekend with my friends. I'd still do it because I love it.
Rich, you are one of the most amped up, energetic performers that I've ever seen on stage. There are a few of you guys that come to mind that just put everything you've got into a performance. I think of Mike Mushok from Stained, and I'm like, how is that guy not, in traction when he leaves the stage. Do you feel like you owe that to an audience every night, or is it all coming from an internal place?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. There's some shows where uh, you go feeling 100% for whatever, because we're humans and our bodies are not always, and our minds are not always on go. And those are the days that you say you owe it to this audience. They've given you an incredible gift where you can wake up every day and say, I'm a professional musician. I owe it to you to put this car in gear and go and run this thing. And then there are the other, 8 out of 10 shows that you play that it's a joy. It's the best gig in the world. You can't believe this is what's happening. And it's one part caffeine and one part gratitude and love for what I do.
Getting up on that stage, is it better than sex, equal to sex, or not quite as good?
Well, in my case, it's about the same, except for that the show lasts longer. So
Rich Ward joining me here on the live stream. Rich, you're performing on this tour, Guardians of the Jukebox, an 80s cover band, tribute band. I'm not sure how you like to think of it, but think back to your early days, coming up. I'm sure you played in other cover bands or just jammed on covers in the studios. How was getting intimately familiar with some of rock's biggest anthems? How has that affected your writing on the whole?
it's made me a way better guitar player. I played a lot of these same songs when I was in high school, because that's kind of the rite of passage. You don't start playing music and then all of a sudden start writing your own songs. At least most people I know don't. They learned songs from their favorite bands, and it kind of were as musicians. And it's really cool to have, now I'm in a place, and this all kind of happened during the lockdown period of time. The music business shut down. My band Fozzy was not touring, and it put me in a position where I was like, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to make music with my friends? And we came up with this idea to put together this 80s tribute. Now, my 80s tribute, we don't do a lot of rock stuff. And the reason we don't do a lot of rock stuff is because I thought it would do mainly pop things. So we're doing mainly Lionel Richie. We're doing no, we always do the big ones. You got to do Bon Jovi, you got to do Loverboy, you got to do Foreigner. I mean, we play the big rock songs, but there's also the cool stuff that we do. Like we play Bonnie Tyler, Holding Out for a Hero. We play Maniac, Michelson, and we play a lot of these really fun songs that and to answer your question, it's incredible to realize that the same 3 or 4 guitar players, LA session guys, and they were rock guys. So most of the stuff that I'm playing now, the guitars were cut by Steve Lukather from Toto or by Dan Huff from Giant. So when I was a kid, I didn't realize the level of musicianship that if you were on the call sheet for a session, or if you were on the call sheet for Eddie Grant doing Electric Avenue, the producer was bringing in the best players on the planet, similar to how they do things now in Nashville. It's just there's a Rolodex of names. Rolodex, sorry, yeah. The names are on people's phones, and you just call these great session players. And it's really made me realize how much I didn't know about guitar playing, because I'm a metal guy. I grew up with hard rock and heavy metal, and I had a very specific, unique style and skill set. And now learning how to interpret some of the greatest songbook, classics, has really made me a better player. I told this to our singer in Fozzy is Chris Jericho, and he and I are both big 80s music fans. And I told him on our first tour, after I'd come back from doing a bunch of Guardian shows, about how much better of a guitar player I was becoming, because my vocabulary was expanding and learning rhythm and melodic technique. So it's been fantastic. And I'm still playing with my best friends. And so it's just carrying on this incredible dream.
Well, and speaking of creating something of your own, a few days ago, before I even knew that you and I were going to get a chance to chat, I just had my music collection on shuffle, and a Stuck Mojo song came on, and my wife was in the car with me, and I said, this guy's guitar tone here, nobody else has this guitar tone. It was like, I think I described it as both razor sharp and crunchy at the same time. And I think at times Zach Wild's gotten a little bit close with his guitar tone, but he's got a lot more reverb to his tone than you do. So so even to this day, after another 25 years of listening to rock and metal, I haven't heard anybody else who's got that Rich Ward guitar tone, man. You got something special there.
Thank you.
To you, is it restrictive or freeing playing someone else's music as you are out on this Guardians of the Jukebox tour? And what do you think makes a perfect cover? Should it be true to the original, or should it be made into something new and your own?
Well, I love it when, first of all, thank you for being so kind. Tone is very important to me. Sounds have always been. When you listen to AC/DC, you instantly know Angus Young's guitar tone. You listen to Pink Floyd, you instantly know David Gilmour's guitar tone. Like, that's what I always strive for, is finding my thumbprint. It's important. All of my favorite guitarists have always had a sound that was defined. It was very unique, and like I said, there's a thumbprint to it. It's very specific to that player. And as far as covers are concerned, so if we're doing a cover with Fozzy, I want to do it our way, because I think it's important if a recording artist and a band who's putting out albums and touring the world, if you're going to do a cover, I think you should do an interpretation. I think that's important. Fozzy did a cover of SOS, ABBA's SOS, which I really think's cover. We did a cover of Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Relax, which I think is really cool. And we made changes to those songs, not structurally, but we repainted the house. We made it feel like it was lived in by Fozzy. Whereas Guardians, we play the songs the way you remember them. We don't take creative license. We're a tribute to the 80s. So the whole idea of being a tribute is to tip the cap to say thank you very much for this amazing catalog of songs. We're going to play them the way you remember them. What we do is, because we can't help it, because I come from a rock background, I've studied lots of videotapes, and if you go back and look, you have Michael Jackson to thank for this, because Michael Jackson was smart. He hired Eddie Van Halen. He hired Slash. He went out and found the players, right? A lot of these, Pink has an ass-cutting guitar player. If you go, all of them, Katy Perry has got a great guitar player. Look, Rihanna has got the guitar player from Extreme, Nuno Betancourt. So these pop players have realized from Michael that having a great rock and roll guitar sound is another element, another, tool in the Swiss Army knife of performing. And that's what we've done, is that we've added this extra element where we've elevated and added weight to these classic songs by adding a little bit of what I do best. And it makes it fantastic. So we don't make the songs heavy metal. We don't make them hard rock. We just elevate the kind of aggressive energy of it. And so now all of a sudden you've got these incredible pop dance anthems, and then you've got all the dudes are going this and all the girls are dancing, and it is, I will say, we've been at this now for a couple of years, and it's amazing what people who are passionate about music can do when they're playing the greatest songs ever written. And the band's fantastic, and I'm super excited actually, we're coming to Greenville. I'm going to be seeing you in a few days. It's it's great.
Well, and Rich, a set list can only be so long. When you were putting together the set list for this run, what songs did you have to reject off the set list that absolutely kills you that you can't play on the set?
Yeah, so the ones that are killing me right now that I love is I always like that always something that to remind me. It's such a great song. We're also not doing, of course, Everybody Have Fun Tonight by Wang Chung. If you don't play Wang Chung, are you really serious about the music business? That's the question, right? But it's the crazy thing is we've got probably 45 songs that we have in our current kind of list, and we'll be playing on this run 2 hours and 15 or 20 minutes worth of material. So that's like 30 songs. But like I said, we do everything and we even do some ballads. If you're a longtime Rich Ward fan and you're interested to see him out of character, come see him play True by Spandau Ballet this weekend. Yes, it's going to happen. It will be me. And it's fantastic. People go nuts because when you go to see cover bands, you're expecting to see the typical stuff, right? You're going to hear
Yeah.
Summer of '69 and Jesse's Girl and 8675309. If you're coming to see an '80s standard kind of cover band, we really don't play many of those songs. Like we but we do play Blondie, and we do play Come On Eileen, and we do play All Night Long, and we do play Caribbean Queen by Billy Ocean. Like, these are songs that you're not going to hear at your local watering hole. And the reason is because you know they're songs that must be treated with respect and not taken lightly. They're big songs, and they're not just ones that you can master in a 30-minute. Hey, do you have the Jesse's Girl rhythm section? These are incredibly dynamic and deep pop songs. So we're excited about it. It's always a challenge when we come in with a new song. One of the new songs we're working on is Our House by Madness. And when you listen to that song on the radio, you go, oh, Our House. And you think, wow, this is a great song. And then if you really do the autopsy on it, you realize how amazingly well written it was and how difficult it is to reproduce and allow. And started Stuck Mojo in 1989. That'll let you know how long I've been doing this. And I'm excited that I get to wake up every day with new challenges. I'm not feeling like I'm just peddling the same wares. Of course, I love to still play Stuck Mojo, and I love my Fozzy band. The fact that I've got 3 vehicles to go out that are completely different, that one day I can go see the new Halloween movie, and the next day I'm going to meet the parents, and the other day is Mission Impossible. That's my life. I have 3 different bands that cover such a different wide spectrum of emotions and musical attitudes that I feel like I'm living a charmed life.
It's funny. This is a little off topic. I didn't know we were going to get into this. A few months ago, about a month and a half ago, I just went and saw Pussifer. And I don't really know a whole lot about Pussifer. Obviously, everybody knows Tool. Everybody knows A Perfect Circle. And I went and saw what Maynard's able to do, this vehicle he's got with Pussifer, to just get as absolutely weird as he wants to get. And I left the show like, I don't know that I like that, but I think I would go back to see it again, because it's just, just the crazy mind of what some people have in them. And it blew me away, when our people started talking to your people and they were thinking, what station are we gonna run ads for this show on? And they said Magic 106.3. I'm like, well, that's a soft rock station. That doesn't sound like Rich Ward. This is the Duke of Metal. But to know the kinds of songs that you're going to be playing, I think it's going to catch a lot of people off guard and just be the most fun show that anybody's been to in a long, long time. Now, I got just one more question here for you. You've got new Fozzy in the works coming out sometime this fall. What can you tell us about that?
It's my favorite Fozzy song to date. We started working with a new producer named Johnny Andrews a couple of albums ago, and it's been because previously it almost all of the writing was just myself and Chris Jericho. He would write the lyrics, and then I would write the melodies and the basic song structures and riffs. And the band would always collaborate in the final processes, but the main structure was always Chris and I. And we got to the point where we really felt like, let me rephrase that. The record company suggested that we start working with a writing producer, which is the truth. It was like, hey, you and Chris have done really well. You had a couple of top 20s, but we really feel like this band has massive potential, and we'd like to put you in with a producer who is going to basically be your coach. You're no longer going to be a professional sports franchise that's self-coached. You need to have somebody in here that can come in there and take personalities who have a long history of being in the business and can handle working with you guys and trying to get something out of you that maybe you don't even know is there. And so in this process, working with Johnny, what's made it great is it was very hard at first, because when you have somebody comes in and you bring in a brand new, and he goes, yeah, it's kind of cool. What else you got? What? Well, like, like it's such a, and his songwriting process is so foreign to me. I'm so used to working kind of quickly, and then once you've got the structure down, then it's a first rewrite and the second draft and the third draft. He works very slow and methodically from the very beginning. And there's a lot of time where I'm sitting in the room with Johnny when we're doing writing sessions where there's nobody saying anything. It's dead quiet, and I'm like, are we meditating? What are we doing? Like, I don't understand. Like, and now that I understand his process and he understands mine, it's like any relationship. We're just starting to flourish now, and we're learning how to get the best out of each other. And this new song, it's called Spotlight. It's a fantastic song. I've always been a fan. If anyone who's known me for any length of time always knows of dance riffs. I mean, I'm Stuck Mojo was just a dance band dressed up in evil heavy metal riffs. Like I've always been a fan of both. With partially is like I grew up in the late 70s, early 80s in the disco era. That was what music was popular. The Saturday Night Fever was the most popular soundtrack, the most popular album when I was a kid. And I always loved dance music, Donna Summer and Kool and the Gang. These are people that these groups put out albums that I was always in love with. And I love Dick Clark. I loved America's Top 40, but I also love Soul Train. Like this is part of my DNA. So this new song is a heavy metal dance song, which is just perfect. It's so suited for who I am as a guy and as a musician, as a songwriter. Jericho loves it. Johnny, it was Johnny's kind of brainchild, and so we're all like, dunking basketballs and so excited about it. Because anytime you have a new song that everybody's on board, because usually it's always when you have a song, when you have a band and there's a lot of personalities and people involved in it, there's always somebody who's holding their nose going, okay, yeah, okay, new song, sure. And they're trying their best to say, I like it, but they don't really, and they're putting their best face forward on this. Everyone loves the new song. It's a super rad song. So, and I think that's coming out. It's late fall, I think. I think you were right. I don't even know what the release date is on it, but I think it's September. Yeah, musicians are like, we're the less valorous version of special forces. Like, we're the first to go, last to know. Just, yes, aye, aye, sir. Tell me where to go and where to play, where to set up. And I kind of like it that way. I don't want to know too much about the business because once you see how the sausage is made, you kind of lose your appetite for eating sausage.
Oh, Rich, I think it's time to resurrect the Rockstar movie nameplate and get the story of Rich and Chris Jericho made. Maybe Mickey Rourke is still available. He'd want to reprise his role as a wrestler and come back for another movie, man. But I think it would be an absolute ball to see this story play out. You've got one of the best stories in hard rock and heavy metal over the last 40 years. And again, I've been a huge fan for years and years and years. Go see Guardians of the Jukebox Friday night. That's July 21st at the Radio Room in Greenville. It'll be by far the best and most fun show you've seen in an awful long time. Go see it. Thank you so much, Rich.
It's an honor. I mean, again, the fact that we've been friends for so long and we've been this and are doing what we love. We're living out our purpose, and it's awesome. I'm glad to see you're still doing fantastically well. Love you a long time, and thanks for letting me chat with you today.
Rich, it's been a blast. I will see you on Friday night.
Super excited. Be prepared for big, uncomfortably long hugs, my friend. I'll see you then.
Thanks, buddy. See you Friday.